Now, I have a little treat for you. This is a Steinberger Synapse. Not an awful lot on the internet about these. I've three of them. Of course I have. I'm the Steinberger lunatic. Why is this better than a Spirit? Or why is it very, very different? Well, I'm going to go through that with you now. So if you're one of these people that likes to leave a comment on the video going, too much talking, this is not the video for you because I got to do a lot of talking. And I will show you the sounds at the end. Okay, so... it's physically bigger than a Spirit, is the first thing. It's physically bigger than one of the original Steinbergers. So, I'll see, can I get in and give you, can you see that flame on the top? Isn't that cute? Right? It's, obviously it's laid on because the rest of it is dark. Okay, so let's go through the features. So the first thing you're going to notice is this integrated headpiece, which has, you can put regular strings through there and clamp them down. Now, that is a failure point on these. They do break, and until I started to take them apart, I was kind of panic when that happened. You know, it's happened to me a couple of times. Basically what happens is you over-tighten this, and that's kind of white metal, that thing, and it breaks off. But not to worry, because that part is actually completely replaceable separate to that. It's just like this little... You can get them in a hardware store, or do what I do and get my friend to make them. I'll send you a link below. Right, so I'm just going to turn this off for a sec. Okay, so that's really handy because you could be away somewhere. You might be able to get your double ball and strings. It might be too expensive, or maybe you have a set of strings that you prefer. You know, I like, believe it or not, I like the Warwick ones. When I get them, I thread them through and trim it off. And then there's a little shelf there. Do you see the little shelf? And what that does is protect you from the spiky bits that you often get with adapters. You get little spiky bits sticking out of them. That shelf kind of thing stops them sticking into you. It's very clever. Now, there is an integrated headpiece kind of available. Again, it's the same guy makes them. And that's all one piece. It's just done much better than this old design. But it's still pretty good, this old design. You got a 0 fret, which is, you know what that is. Now, on to the next bit. This fingerboard is Phenolic. And Phenolic is sheets of cloth impregnated with resin, and they're kind of laid over each other and built up. And you get this kind of dark, ebony-like thing. Lots of different companies have a version of it, but I really like Phenolic fingerboards when I can get them. You clean them basically with WD-40. Spray WD-40, that expels the moisture out of them, and you wipe them down. They look good as new. Otherwise, what happens... You get a kind of wood grain effect in them, okay? Next up, the bridge. Are we going this way? Right, yeah, the bridge next. So the bridge has this integrated in. I don't know if you can get, yeah, okay. That bridge saddle is made of rosewood. Now, originally when these came out, there was a plan to do all different, you know, you could have these different, aluminium will do, metal and will do, but so far, rosewood is the only one that you can get, that I've ever seen. Okay, and the idea is that's a piezo pickup under there, and there's 3 wee screws, right? So 1, 2, and 3. You loosen them off, and there's a grub screw at the top that holds it all in place. Let that off, and then you use the 3 screws to adjust the height, and you can rotate this like that. It kind of in a, it's almost like a figure of 8 kind of shape. And that lets you set the intonation. Now, I've seen guys talk about these and go, oh, you know, the intonation, I don't want the intonation better. I've never had an issue with intonation, so maybe it's just me. But I've never had a problem setting the intonation on one of these and having it be good. Not once. I just found a scratch in the back of the head. It's not scratch, a bit of goop. Okay, so that's how you set the intonation on it, and under there is a piezo pickup. Now, or piezo, whatever way you want to say it. Piezo pickups on a bass, to me, it's a nice toy to have. I'm not mad about the sound of it. Don't know what to tell you beyond that. Unless you can EQ it separately. Right, so one of the reasons I don't use it is because this EQ, so you got bass, treble. It's quite hard to see on this because of the color. You got bass, treble, that's pickup pan, and volume. Okay, so this pickup pan obviously goes between these 2 pickups, and that's an EMG P35, which means it's a reverse precision pickup in that housing. My white one has a DC40, which is 2 single coil like blade pickups in this housing, and that's much more pronounced in the mids, kind of like a Stingray, though not like a Stingray, but it's more like a Stingray, and it kind of, it's pokey, you know, cuts through the mix. Nearly too much cuts through the mix. This really sits well in the mix. So when you bring in a piezo, you're getting all this kind of high-end sizzle, and it would be nice to tame that without affecting the EQ of the magnetic pickup. And on my Ibanez EDA 905, you can do that. You can set the EQ for the Ibanez, the EQ for the piezo differently, and you can bring in a bit of the weight of the bottom because you get massive bottom out of a piezo pickup. Now, years ago, there was a guy called Felix Crash. He's still going around, I'm sure, and wonderful bass player. And I saw him play with Beverly Craven, believe it or not, and he was playing a song. He was playing a fretless acoustic bass, and that sounded great. That's piezo. That's great. My issue is getting them to blend, to mesh together, which I don't think works terribly well. Next up, strap hook. Okay, so you see people make strap extenders for their Spirit instruments, and this is why they're not always hugely successful. Do you see the way this curves downwards back in towards the neck? Well, the idea of that is to bring the instrument back into you, because if that was straight, right, by the time you get out here, and I've done strap extenders on Spirit instruments, unless you put a bend in them, like a banana or something else, right, the bass tends to kick out away from it. So the bass goes out like that, right? And this curve in the strap extender stops that. Okay, so will we do some sounds? Oh yeah. Sorry, before we do sounds, under this Phenolic fingerboard, there's a graphite U channel cut in. This instrument is all maple, okay? And there's a U channel cut all the way up to about here, and it's filled with graphite, and the truss rod sits in that. And so it's a smaller truss rod than you might imagine for a big instrument like this. And the graphite does an awful lot of the work. Now, as I say, I have 3 of these. I have another custom, which is in a kind of light chocolatey sunburst, and I broke the truss rod. So if you're going to buy one of these, make sure the truss rod is working. If you see one on eBay with a broken truss rod, really think about what you're getting into, because fixing these things is no joke, right? This fretboard has to come off, and it doesn't want to come off easy. My glasses are loose, that's why I'm at them all the time to tighten them up. It doesn't come off easy, and the graphite U channel is not going to come out easy. And then you got to find a truss rod that will fit. So I was actually chatting to a guy who had done it, said it was the dirtiest job that he'd ever done, and he actually recommended that if he was to do it again, he'd build a neck quicker than replace the truss rod in it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with mine. This one with the broken truss rod, I've no idea, because it's immaculate otherwise, and these are hard to find now, and they're such a great instrument. I mean, if you're doing an 80s thing, I've a project on where I'll be standing in for a friend of mine in an 80s tribute, and you know, you play something like that, it's totally 80s, even though it isn't made in the 80s. This, I think it's 2009, this one, or 2007 or something like that. It just screams the 80s, but it's a very modern instrument, you know. The bridge is much better quality than the Spirit as well. So look, let's do some sounds. So when I gig it live, what I do is I have the bass up a wee bit and the treble back a wee bit, magnetic pickup on its own, because like I said, I'm not mad about the PAs on pickup. But sure, let's start that way, and I'm going to be leaning back and forth to turn off the microphone, because that's hearing all this stuff. Oh yeah, I hear fret noise, yeah. That's why you hear fret noise. And the other thing I would say is that if I'm reviewing an instrument that I play live, I do tend to have the action as low as I can get it, because sometimes the gigs are long, and a little bit of noise like that isn't going to cut through, and the mix no one's really going to notice. And it's a bit of a trade-off. If you're recording, I have the action very high, and you don't get any extraneous noise. Okay, so let's start with, will we start with the piezo? Yeah, let's do that. So all the way back, okay, onto the piezo. this time what we'll do is we'll do piezo, but I'll put up the bass a bit, and this is going to drive the gain a bit, so I just got to check that, okay? And this time we'll put up the treble as well, but you'll get all that sizzle. So we'll do the bass full up. Let's do the bass full up. Okay, put the bass back to about halfway, and we'll boost the treble, and you can hear that all that sizzly stuff. Yeah, I don't do that for too long. It's just such an overpowering sound. So I'll show you how I do it live. I wouldn't be using this piezo thing at all. We'll move on to, let's do the magnetic pickup and the piezo on together, and EQ set flat, okay? Let's do that. So we got this in the middle as a center detent, and we're going to do piezo pickup and the mag pickup together. Now again, that's not something I do, but let's give it a bit of bass. We'll go about 3/4 of the way up on the bass, and the treble as normal. Okay, and now we'll do the magnetic pickup on its own with the EQ flat. So we're going to turn this. Okay, so again, EQ flat. I wouldn't use it this way normally. It's quite bright, but let's do it. Okay, good man. Playing like crap today. All right, so what we'll do is we'll put up the bass about 3/4, so about 75% of the bass, and this is kind of more like what I do with the treble rolled off a little bit, but I won't do that. So bass 3/4 up, mag only. I would do, I'll roll the treble off just a little bit, and it just makes it a bit more bearable. I have a drum machine coming, so I'll be able to, so like I got an 80s retro one, so because I love that sound, but you'll be able to hear me playing along with some drums, okay? But this is treble rolled off a wee bit. All right, so we just put it flat again and do some final thoughts. All right, so some final thoughts on it. Right, if you see one and you have the budget, would I recommend one? Well, yes and no. And the reason just to make sure anything you buy, like I said to you, I might have mentioned it in the video before, don't buy one that needs a truss rod unless you know what you're doing. And make sure the truss rod works when you're looking at it, because they don't respond like a normal bass, a wooden bass truss rod, because you put a truss rod, a wrench in there and you turn it, and it's fairly instantaneous, right? It's a bit slower in these. What tends to happen is people crank them then. Like, when I say people, I mean Egypt's like me. I've done it. I've broken one. So if I can do it and I'm well used to these things, you can do it. So just make sure it's working. That's the first thing. It's a much higher quality instrument than a Spirit. It just is. It's closer in many ways to a real Steinberger than a Spirit, particularly the modern ones, the ones that are being sold brand new now. The finish is cracking, beautiful thing. It's bigger. If you like the piezo thing, you got that. It is the cheapest bass you're going to buy with the Steinberger logo. It doesn't say buy Steinberger, it's an actual Steinberger. If you can get in there, it says Steinberger Synapse. It's hugely comfortable. They're eye-catching, they're striking. You got your strap extender, which is a huge thing. Now they can also bend, because you're hanging out of it a bit, and again my friend Matthew makes them. Don't know what he's charging, but I picked up a couple of them off him, and I have them aside. You can use real strings, standard strings. You can use standard strings. The belly cut is more comfortable than a Spirit. With a Spirit, you generally get passive electronics, and the electronics are cracking. Particularly the mag pickup. Like, I know it didn't sound probably amazing here, because I'm plugging straight into a desk and all the rest of that. But live on a gig, honestly, I got nothing but compliments when I would bring it to gigs. People were really complimentary about how it was easy to mix. And the white one especially, actually, with the other pickup in it. And that's another thing I meant to mention, right? This is all solid as EMG stuff. So you can go onto EMG and you order the other pickup, take your strings off, take those two screws off, the thing pops off, and it's a clip. And within a minute, you clip on the other pickup, screw it in, and that's it. You're done. There's no soldering, none of that. And I've had great fun trying different pickups in it. So what do they go for? I've seen them go, from kind of 800, 900 euros at the cheap end, up to 12, that kind of money. It's a lot of bass for that. They come with a padded gig bag. You can get a hard case. This one came with a hard case. The guy obviously ordered it at the time like that. But it was missing all the scubbins from the headpiece. And he claimed to have bought it new like that from a shop. So I don't know whether they help someone out by taking out the things. As I said, they're easy to get. And I did have them here, so I was able to put it back the way it was supposed to be. And I think in many ways they're the forgotten Steinberger. People know the old Steinbergers, and these ones, I think they're made in Where are they made? Korea, is it? Tell you now. I don't know. Oh yeah, one more other thing is your jack plug goes in there, which is nice and secure. Sorry, over here. Goes in there, just nice and secure, okay, because it comes out at an angle, but it's behind your body. And these, hang on, if I can burst one out. These are the Allen keys for the string clamps and for the bridge. And they sit in a little recess in there. It's class, man. So would I recommend one? Absolutely. Phenolic board, strap extender, string clamp, proper EMGs, proper EMG electronics, piezo pickup. Go get one. All right. And if you have any questions, put them in the thing below. Sorry, it has to be a quick video today. Kids are off school, so they're just out at the minute, and I'm lashing through. I did get requests to go through a Synapse because it's the only Steinberger headless I haven't done. Though I haven't done Q series either. We might do that. All right, listen, thanks for watching. Those of you who are interested in Steinberger stuff. These strings, by the way, are old Labellas. I bought a job lot of them. These old Labella strings. They would have been very expensive. What I did was, once I got them, I vacuum packed them up, stopped them going off, and they're really great. They're really great strings. But like I say, if you want to use your own strings, I like Warwick's actually on my other basses, and they're cheap and cheerful. And as I say, you can use them. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. Apologies again for the playing. It's one of them days. Been playing a lot of guitar this week, so I have to reacclimatize the fingers. All right, look, take care.